Welcome to the Retire with Peace podcast, the podcast where we help you create a fulfilling and stress-free retirement. Each week, we bring you expert advice, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you plan and live your best retirement life. Whether you're nearing retirement or already enjoying your golden years, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Let's embark on this journey together and discover how to retire with peace.
Welcome back to the Retire with Peace podcast. We continue our series on being healthy and staying healthy in retirement with a replay from about a year and a half ago where we talked about the crazy awesome benefits of resistance training. So check out that episode and then pick up those heavy weights. It's time to talk about muscles. Let's talk about strength training to retire with peace today. As always, I'm Dave Zaegel. I'm your host. And we are in the middle of a series on living healthier. And we've talked about eating protein. We've talked about drinking water. We've talked about mobility and strength and all those things that come along with living healthy. Today, I want to talk specifically about resistance training and building that muscle strength. Because there's a lot of things that we've known for a long time. And there are some benefits that are relatively new and still developing a little bit in terms of what we know scientifically. And I'm going to put this all in layman's terms. I do not claim to be a scientist, but I've actually done a lot of research and a lot of stuff personally, and I want to share that with you to talk about what the benefits of strength training are and why you should do that even if you haven't done that before and you're a little bit older and just looking to improve your own health. Starting now can actually make a pretty big difference in the long term, especially if we start with resistance training. So whenever we're thinking about strength training and resistance training, oftentimes the thought is about muscle function in terms of movement, strength, and those are true. Those are super, super important. We want to have stronger muscles. We want to be able to move better. We want to be able to move things better sometimes. And not just ourselves, but sometimes just carrying things, moving things around. Strength training obviously will help with that. And that's traditionally what's thought of when we think of the reason for developing muscles. And that's good, but it goes way beyond that. I'm going to go over a couple of things that resistance training really helps with, not just on the functional movement side, but what happens even on the inside of your body, whether it's your bones, your brain, your metabolism, all the above. Let's talk about each of those and why resistance training can help. One thing that's important as we age is to make sure that we have strong bones. Obviously, as we age, that becomes more and more difficult. The bones will weaken, become a little bit more brittle, but we can reverse a little bit of that with strength training, because strength training will stress the bones in a positive way and increase bone density and reduce risk of things like osteoporosis. So we don't want to stress our bones in terms of slamming them all the time and, falling. We don't want to fall. That's why we try to be stronger so we don't fall, because that's a big deal when we get older, obviously. But if we can properly stress our bones through this resistance training, it signals that we need to strengthen the bones and actually helps them become stronger, become more dense and less brittle over time. Again, that's all very layman's terms. I get it. But that is just the truth of what strength training can do to our bones. And we don't often think of our bones when we think of strength training. We think of muscles, but the bones in between all the muscles and ligaments and tendons are getting stronger as well when we stress them properly through resistance training. So another key benefit is that bone health, that bone strength. It's not that you have to jump in for any of this and lift as heavy as possible. You can start with using bands. You don't have to use free weights or barbell right off the bat. You can use some bands that you can buy online and start doing some presses and some curls, just simple movements. Yeah, you can do body weight squats for your legs. There's so much you can do that you don't necessarily have to go try to be a bodybuilder or do something crazy. You can still use something light to start out with as resistance training for all these benefits that we're going to talk about. So even if you do nothing else, grab some bands, use body weight, push-ups and squats, do something that's going to provide resistance for your muscles and get all these benefits, including strengthening bones. One other benefit that is really nice is it helps reduce cognitive decline. We'll talk a little bit more about the chemicals that muscles store and release for us. But really, just about any exercise will help with cognitive decline, but especially strength training has been found to help. There's walking, of course, there's running. Those are all very helpful, but strength training in particular, because of the chemicals that get released in strength training, has been shown to really help with cognitive decline over the long term. Additionally, muscles will help boost your metabolism. So this is great because it's not only the exercise itself that is necessarily burning calories, boosting your metabolism, but as you develop lean muscle, it's helping burn those calories and boost your metabolism while you're resting. Because that muscle, especially if you're fueling it properly with protein and water, which we talked about in previous episodes, especially if you are fueling it properly, it is really burning a lot of calories for you because it needs that energy to maintain to maintain its form, to still be in existence. We don't want the muscles to fall away, but just know that if you're building that muscle over time, it's not just for show, and it's not only just for function. We've already talked about strengthening bones, reducing cognitive decline. It will also boost metabolism as long as you stay with it. Keep it consistent, even while you're resting, it's going to increase your metabolism. And lastly, let's talk about the immune system and muscles' impact on this. Now, I found this very interesting because, again, we think about muscle in terms of strength and movement and range of motion, all those different things, all great stuff. But what we're learning more and more about over the past several years is muscle as an organ and what that organ can produce in terms of the chemicals that it releases into the system to help with things like we talked about, cognitive decline, boosting metabolism, but also what chemicals it can send out of the muscle to help reduce disease and help with immune system. And I find this really, really fascinating because it's really a new, I think of it as a turning point in terms of medicine when we can talk more specifically, not only about saying, okay, yes, exercise is helpful, you need to do that for good health. Now we're looking at it saying, okay, exactly what chemicals are being released from muscles? How is muscle becoming an organ that's not just for movement, it's for chemical storage and chemical release to help with our immune system? Now we're finding out that when we're moving our muscles consistently and strengthening them, that again, even while we're resting, not only is it boosting our metabolism, but that movement and that muscle development is consistently releasing chemicals that are going to help fight disease and help our immune system just fight general illness as well. Like I said, I find this really interesting, and I've seen this work really well from personal experience. I've mentioned on previous episodes that less than a year ago, I did a round of what's called 75 hard, and you have to do a lot of different things. You have to exercise twice a day, once outside, drink a gallon of water. You have to follow a diet plan. You have to read nonfiction every day. Lots of different steps that you have to do. What I find interesting, though, is I've done this twice now in that less than a year span, and it's been helpful for me to stay healthy because what happened, I got sick the third week into it the first time I was doing it. So I actually got some sort of stomach bug or something I ate. I don't know what, but it actually helped me recover a little faster. But since that time, I have not been sick once. And I'm not going to knock on wood because I think it's a little bit more than luck, because anytime I feel anything coming on, I go right back to the fundamentals. And trust me, I got 3 kids, I got a family. They come home from school with every virus possible. So as soon as I feel any maybe sore throat or like any congestion coming on, or maybe I'm feeling a little more tired than usual and feel like something's starting to hit me, I go right back to drinking water, eating protein, getting my strength training, and getting my sleep. Those four things. So when we talk about strength training being a part of that, I think it's a huge part from what I've experienced in terms of staying healthy consistently. And there's no guarantee. That's not to say, oh, gee, just do those four things, you'll never get a virus again. Of course, that would be ridiculous. But I've noticed from personal experience, if you really go back and focus on those four things, if you're already doing them at least decently enough, certainly there's some times where I kind of fall away, work gets busy, life gets busy. If I notice that I'm starting to get sick or I'm starting to feel something, bam, go right back to those things: water, protein, strength training, sleep. So that strength training is really important. Again, you don't have to do anything insane. Just add some body weight resistance training, add some bands. If you can do some dumbbells, that's great. But really focus on that strength training, not just for the muscle function and movement and strength, which are fantastic. Focus on the strength training for what your muscles can do chemically to help with your brain, help with your immune system, help with your metabolism. There's so many benefits, especially if you are fueling that muscle with strength training, protein, and water. So my suggestion today, start slow. You don't have to do anything crazy, but get into resistance training. Even if you're older and haven't really done much of it before, it can still have some huge benefits that will accumulate over time. That's really going to let you have a better retirement overall and ultimately retire with peace.